Welcome to Faith on Film with Isaac Hernandez and Holly McClure. Keeping you informed on faith and family entertainment.
Hello, welcome to this episode of Faith on Film. We're so glad you've tuned in to today's episode. We've got a great show for you today. You know, it's always very exciting when we get to sit down and talk with a longtime friend. And our guest today, Chris Bueno, who's the CEO of Ocean Avenue Entertainment, is somebody that I've known since, oh my goodness, I'm going to say since the maybe early 80s. And I know Holly has known him for many years as well. And we got a chance to sit down with him and talk about a movie that he's releasing, or I should say, re-releasing into theaters this Tuesday, May 16th as a Fathom event. One shot only, one day. So you want to make sure and go see it. If you're watching this show before May 16th, 2023, then you need to get out there to the theaters and watch the movie. If you're watching it much after this, then of course look for it because I'm sure it'll be streaming in various streaming platforms. But anyway, we were able to sit down. He had not seen that movie for a long time anywhere, so he decided this is a movie everyone needs to see, and that's why he's now spearheading this re-release of The Way, starring Martin Sheen and Emilio Esteves. Now, I'll tell you what, let's take a look at the trailer, and then after that, we'll come back and find out all about why he decided that this was a good movie to bring out again into theaters.
You should fly with me. Come on, a father-son trip. It'll be fun.
Yeah, right. You know, most people don't have the luxury of just picking up and leaving it all behind, Daniel.
We agreed that if I let you take me to the airport, you wouldn't lecture me about how I'm ruining my life.
I lied. Hello.
Are you the father of Daniel Avery?
He was walking the road to Santiago de Compostela, 800 kilometers on the northwestern coast of Spain. This is everything he had when we found it. People have walked the path for over 1,000 years. The way is a very personal journey, Mr. Avery.
Daniel was my only child. We're gonna walk the Camino to Santiago, both of us.
Come. This is the way.
Hi, I'm Joost. There's no mystery why I'm doing this trip. Oh, look at cheesemakers. Hold on. Hey, don't wait. Yeah, you should try some.
No, thanks.
Stop! That was me! Right, I'm from Amsterdam.
Dutch, huh?
What are you looking to score?
I love this guy.
It wears off quick, I promise you.
Hello, I'm Jack from Ireland.
How long you been out here?
From the Camino or in this particular spot?
You pick?
Well, geez, it's hard to say.
So what is it, on pilgrimage to change your life?
Something like that. Dead books with the ashes. My son.
That's brilliant. I mean, tragic, of course, but brilliant. Oh, no!
Tom, your son. I am so sorry. I had no idea.
My son was almost 40.
Yeah, but he'll always be your baby.
What was your son like?
Smart, confident, stubborn, pissed me off a lot. Was a lot like you. Hey, that kid took my bag. Hey! Hey! You can keep the bag! Just give me the box!
You don't choose a life, Dad. You live one.
But you can do this on a bike? Why the hell are we walking?
Chris, welcome to Faith on Film. I'm so glad you're with us today.
Glad to be here.
Old friend. I'm so glad.
Old friend.
You're an old friend of both of us.
Wait.
We've known you for years, but me in particular.
Holly,
I
who
know.
you
It's
calling
been
old?
I won't say how long.
we go back to I'll say we go back to 1991 or 92, I think.
I think
Oh,
so.
wow.
We did.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
But
think
I'm thinking, I think it was even before then.
Yeah, like 79. Like
Wow.
1979.
Yes. So
Yeah,
yes, this is
it's
crazy. Yes. It's like way back.
I know.
Wow.
But we're still young.
But the good news is you're doing some exciting, fun things in film and movies these days, and we're going to talk about one of them today.
Yeah. In fact, I want to start off by asking you, why would you release or re-release really a movie that came out 10 years ago?
Well, you know, it's a question that I honestly didn't think we would do when I first ended up getting the rights to be able to re-release this movie. So for me, the thing that when I'll tell you a little bit about, number one, how I ended up, getting the distribution for this beautiful film that came out 10, 11 years ago. And part of what I think really I noticed about two and a half years ago is I could not find this movie. And in, the movies that I distribute, a lot of times when I'm looking for something that I loved that I can't find, there's a lot of times there's a story involved of something that happened. And so that was exactly the case with this film. The company that I was aware of that had the distribution rights had gone bankrupt. And so I was able to, number one, figure that out. And then number two, I didn't know Emilio Esteves. He's the director. He's the owner of the film. And so for me, I had to how do I contact him? And I remembered that Craig Detweiler, which you probably both know, had done something at Pepperdine 13 years ago to promote the film. So I reached out and I said, Craig, do you have his email or any contact? He said, Chris, he says, I've got an old email. I mean, literally, it's an AOL email. So I thought, okay, I sent off an email, said, listen, I think I know that your movie, I think you may not know this, but you may have the rights back to your movie. So didn't hear anything. A week went by, and all of a sudden he replied. And long story short, because I won't bore you with the details, took about 2 years for his own attorney to kind of get all the rights back and, and then pull it from different places where they weren't even, making money from it because it was this other company that had it. And then when he was done, he said, Chris, will you distribute this for me? And I was like, pleased and thrilled to be a part of it. And then we started to think about, with entertainment the way it is these days, there's so many options for, how you distribute something and getting attention and awareness. And as much as people absolutely love this film, we just felt like, if we were able to get Fathom to agree to a one-night theatrical event, we think the people would come. We think there's enough fans out there that would come. Mm-hmm. So I set up a meeting with Fathom. At first they thought, what's the hook? Because for them, it has to be a 20-year anniversary. I think last week was Lord of the Rings 20th anniversary. And they're like, wait a minute, this is like 12 years. I mean, and so I said, the hook is this. It's not available anywhere. People can't find this movie. It's not streaming anywhere. So if and our plan is we'll put it in theaters first before anybody has a chance to watch it anywhere else. And so we set up a meeting and a Zoom meeting with everybody at Fathom, all the execs. And Emilio was on that call. I have to say he sold it because he was so compelling about his passion, his vision for this film that they were like, okay, we're in. And we got our date, which is May 16th. And so far ticket sales are going well. You have the pre-sales. So we're looking at how the pre-sales go, and we have our weekly call with Fathom, and they're like, hey, this is going good. You guys are doing good. and so, that's why. And I think when you see the comments in like Facebook and everything, I've honestly never seen so many comments from people going, we love this film. This is our favorite film. Oh, we did the Camino because of the film. And so they're just like, they're super fans of this film. So we're excited. Yesterday, Emilio was on the Kelly and Mark show. It used to be Kelly and Ryan.
Yeah.
Kelly and Mark. So they were on. It'll be on coming out on Friday, and Good Morning America. So it's really pretty exciting. It's like you don't normally get that for a one-night screening of a movie. So we'll see how all that also impacts, the ticket sales.
Well, also now social media is now more than it ever was in it came out in 2010 2010. I mean, so it's above and beyond what it was back then. So that is even a whole new leg for it that it never had before, as far as promotion and mention and people finding out about it. And of course, with hashtagging the trail and the hashtagging the experience, now, you've got so many more eyeballs around the world on it and wanting it. So good for them. I'm so glad. I'm so happy.
Yeah, I honestly did not anticipate so many people saying, "Oh my gosh, we watch it every year. I can't wait to watch it in the theater." And it's like, it's one thing to have a movie. Normally, it's just a movie nobody's seen, and then you get people to come out to watch the movie. But this is something where literally people have watched it over and over again, and the experience of watching it in a theater, I think, is very compelling to them. And then the other aspect of it is that, you have at the end, you have these value added, like 15, 20 minutes discussion on the film. And it was Emilio's idea to ask Rick Esteves. And if you're familiar with Rick Esteves, he's the guy that's on PBS. He's like the Europe travel guy. He's been doing the PBS show for years and years and years. And he's the expert on, the Camino and walking the Camino and all things travel. And he's a Christian too. So they reached out to him. He absolutely said, "I'm totally in." So he hosts the after, the bonus feature at the end. And he's got a huge fan base. So that was exciting. We were able to shoot that in Edmonds, which is outside of Seattle, about 4 weeks ago. And so it was just a fun time for Denise, my wife, and myself to go and be a part of that and go to dinner and have, just that time with not only Emilio, but also his father, Martin Sheen, and Martin's wife. And they've been married 61 years.
Wow.
So I think that's a record in Hollywood.
It's a record anywhere.
10 years is a record in Hollywood.
Martin, I think, is 82. So how fun to have him at this age. I look back on what he did then.
Yeah, he's in great shape. And, he was doing all day taping and everything. I was more concerned, like, let's make sure we don't use him up, right? His energy level. But he was just amazing, honestly. I was so amazed. Wow. So, yeah.
Now, for those that are watching this program today and maybe don't really know what the movie's about, can you tell us a little bit about what The Way is all about?
Yes. Okay. So in the movie, Martin Sheen plays kind of this retired dentist who, likes to play golf and not really in touch with his faith. He goes to church maybe on Easter and Christmas, right? He's Catholic, and he gets a call from somebody in Spain, and they let him know that his 45-year-old son, played by Emilio Esteves, has passed away, and to come and come and get his body. So you see what, he comes back to Spain, and when he recovers the body and sees his backpack, he finds out that he was about to do this long pilgrimage, which is to walk the Camino de Santiago. And he makes the decision to walk the pilgrimage for his son. And so he takes his ashes and he goes on this journey, which is quite a long journey. And along the way, he picks up 3 or 4 people that are part of the story, and they become kind of the community that he becomes kind of a father to them. But the important thing is that you really see him reconnect with God and his faith at the end of the film. And there's some moments that are just so poignant and heartfelt that really stay with you. So that's kind of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And Martin Sheen is devout Catholic, so, he probably loves the fact that this is, again, a pilgrimage and a spiritual one for him as well.
He is.
Right.
I think he took it with his grandson. That's the story that I remember, is that he and his grandson, Emilio's son, went on this, I think in like early 2003 or something. They went on it and had this experience, and he came back and told Emilio, "Oh, this is such a great thing. You should do this." So
yes.
He drove it, or something. He said he didn't walk it, but he drove it,
It's Emilio's son walked the Camino. He was the one that told his grandfather, Martin, about his experience. And that kind of was the catalyst for Emilio writing this story and directing this film. Plus, later on, Emilio's son, who had met someone on the Camino from Spain, they're now married and they have kids.
Wow.
It's had a lot of, there's been a lot that's happened as a result of this film.
Wow. Was Martin happy that you were doing it?
Yes. I mean, he didn't really know about my faith, but it was, we had a chance to talk and have dinner, like I said, about 4 weeks ago. And it was great to talk just about our faith. Obviously I'm not Catholic and come from the evangelical side, but my own journey and with Denise, my wife, we are very much have been leaning into the contemplative side of God and really, the beauty of liturgy, things that as someone growing up, I wasn't really aware of. And so we're loving all that part of it. And so I think we had a lot in common in that way.
That's very exciting that there can now be such a partnership between evangelicals and Catholics, because I grew up very much like you, actually, in the Assemblies of God, very evangelistic, but very what would be the word that I'm looking for? They looked at Catholics as, those are not really Christians. We are, but that wall, I think, seems to be disappearing, and it's great to see someone like you that is being, that is really just providing the way that's providing the way to maybe bridge that gap.
Yeah, my dad, as you remember, Isaac, on the show that we met each other on,
right,
way back when we did our taping at TBN. He had a few Catholic charismatics on his show, which was quite controversial. A lot of evangelicals, especially in Latin America, they were more conservative. How did you do that? And my dad was just a bridge builder. There are always going to be the fringe, either on the evangelical side or the Catholic side. The people are like, wow, they're really into that theology. But for the most part, the people that are really searching after God, whether they're Catholic or evangelical or even in the mainline denominations, their heart is after God. And if we can focus on that, yes, we're going to have our differences, and that's okay. But, there's a lot more we have in common, and I feel like that's where God would want us to focus.
But the story is also that tension between the father and the son, because the son asked him to go on that with him. And he said, well, I'm too busy. I can't just pick up and go off like you want to do. I can't do it. Then, of course, the son passes away. And then that father is living with the guilt that he didn't go spend time with him, and of course makes that journey. So there's a lot of father-son dynamics that I think a lot of people, a lot of men, will relate with. And being the son and being the father, he steps in, and that emotional journey, it's not just a spiritual one. It was about connecting with his son, and we won't give everything away, but through it, he takes he takes ashes
very much
put on post, and it's his dedication to his son,
It's very much the case too. And, a lot of fathers that get older, you're going to have regrets if you didn't spend the kind of time with your kids. I have older boys. I think back to how crazy things were, and I wasn't as available as I am as an older father right now. So, it does really move into that. And, Emilio will tell you that this is not the character that his dad's playing a character that was not who he was as a father, because Martin would take the whole family. Like when they did Apocalypse Now and they shot that, they would take the whole family and they would put them up in the hotel, and he wouldn't take the first class. He would just get everybody on the plane, and they would get their accommodation. And so, Emilio's memories are of going with the family on all these different shoots.
Oh, wow.
And that's the reason, I think, one big reason that their marriage is a 61-year marriage right now.
Yes.
Right? Because that would really mess you up in Hollywood when you have a 3-day or a 3-month shoot somewhere and you're gone from your wife or your husband, right? And there's a lot of temptation. So that was a very intentional thing. And what's remarkable is that of the 4 kids, I think they have 4 kids, Emilio, Charlie Sheen, and then his sister, they all live within 1 or 2 blocks of each other in Malibu. And they've lived that close for over 30 years.
Wow.
That's quite an amazing thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Emilio, I know he did Bobby with his dad on Bobby Kennedy, the assassination. I know he worked on a couple of other projects, so they have worked really closely together on things in the past. And I mean, that's what I remember reading the notes about this, and he goes, that's what made it work with my father, was that we had this close bond, because I can't imagine doing this with anybody else. In fact, I think he even said that Martin at one time said, look, we're trying to get this picked up, we're trying to get it pitched, but if it doesn't, and you need a bigger name or bigger actor, use someone else. And he's like, no, we can't, unless you're it, we can't do this. So I thought that was.
And Martin Sheen has told, and he told me this too, and confirmed it. He says this is the most important movie he's ever made.
Wow.
And, you think about all the movies he's made. That's a pretty amazing statement.
Yeah. Yep. And you know what? This is where I feel really blessed is my kids all live within literally 7 minutes to 25 minutes away from me. And so now it's really given me the opportunity to do a lot with them. I go to my grandkids' baseball games. Today I was cutting down a bunch of really super tall trees for my son, and with something probably a 65-year-old shouldn't be doing, but I did it for my son. And the thing is that I grew up, and I hate to say this, I grew up as a pastor. Quite a few years that I was pastoring, and I almost lost my relationship with my kids then because it took so much time. I was not there for them. And so now I'm so thrilled and feel so blessed that I actually have the time to spend with them. Very important.
It is extremely important.
In fact, how old is your youngest? I mean, what's the age of your youngest?
He's 12 years old.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I can't believe he's 12. Remember when he was born? He was just a baby. Oh my gosh, 12.
Oh my gosh. I have a grandkid that's 21.
Well, Chris, are there any other exciting projects that you can tell us about? Because you see a lot of movies coming through that go on Netflix and are distributed in other ways. Anything coming up that you're kind of excited about? You can kind of give us a hint.
Yeah, give us a scoop.
Gosh, I did watch one that I finished today that is, I don't know. I probably can't say it. It's a really good movie. Let me just say it's connected to Duck Dynasty. I'll say that. But it's more of a personal story, and it's not political. Very, very. So, I think that's something that's coming, and I was impressed. I thought it was a really good production. But there's another movie too that I just got the rights to, another older movie that again, most people never heard of, called Saronia. And, so I'm excited because sometimes you find these movies, you go, how did this not get distribution? It's just such a beautiful film. So really, those things like that will come out at some point.
And some movies sometimes come out at awkward times, so they don't get, because they're overshadowed between seasons, between big films or tent poles, so they don't get the publicity and people just kind of let it go. I saw a movie the other day, and it was really good on this, cop who has a demon-possessed guy, and they go after him. And he really was a policeman who really did exorcism with a priest in real life. That came and went so fast because it was in the summer when all the other big movies were around it. It didn't get the promotional, and it's a good film. So there are films. I'm glad you're out looking out for that, because they're great films that have been passed by. And so many people nowadays are looking for a good film, without language, without the whole thing, woke thing. It's hard to find sometimes.
Well, we spent a lot of time watching black and white films from TCM. We just watched HUD, which was another great film. Because a lot of times you watch some of these newer films and they're so disappointing. We watched Murder Mystery 2 with Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston. It's like I could barely get through it. It was just nonstop. Action, from beginning to end. There was I couldn't breathe. It was Oh my gosh, this is exactly what happens when you have a big studio that's orchestrating every second. It's just action, action, action. And at the end you go, okay, wow, okay, can we just watch something else just to clear our brain?
Yeah.
Now, some people may not know this, by the way. Again, our viewers may not know this, but you were actually one of the guys behind the distribution of that movie right there, Facing the Giants.
Yes, which is behind me too. Right? Yes. Yeah.
You've come a long way since then.
And it's changed a lot. Boy, I tell you, it's changed a lot. The landscape of independent films. But glad that I could play whatever role I played. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Oh, so good to have you on, Chris, and keep us informed if you have something else coming out like the one you just talked about, or can let us know, hey, come back on and give us an insight and let people be aware, because again, for this one, the way it's a Fathom event, so it's only one day, but once if people see it afterwards, maybe look for it, because I'm sure they'll try to distribute it after.
Yes. Well, and just thank you for having me on. And I'm a fan of your show. So I'm really grateful. You guys do a great, good content, professionally done.
Thank you.
So kudos to you both.
And you have the distinction, by the way, of being the first guy that has done the interview with a little dog running around behind you.
I love that. I love your dog.
Yeah, well, thank you,
All
Chris.
right. And that's my son.
Oh, and your son there. There you go. Hey.
There he goes. Yay! There he is. Hi, Huck. There he is. Oh, good to see you.
Yes.
Their father-son. What a great way to end a story about a father-son than seeing a father-son. Perfect way to end it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Chris.
See you guys.
Folks,
God bless.
we'll be right back, folks.
Hi, my name is Brandon Swartz. I'm an actor, director, writer. I've been in films such as Stealing the Show and TV shows like Fragment. And you're watching Faith on Film.
Welcome back. I really hope you enjoyed today's show and our talk with Chris Bueno. Again, if you're watching this show before May 16th, 2023, go to Fathom Events, find out if there's a theater near you that is showing the way, and make sure and get out there and take a look at the movie. It's a very inspirational movie, just a wonderful movie. I remember seeing it about 12, 13 years ago when it first came out and really enjoying it. So this is another opportunity. Get out there and see it. And of course, if you're watching this program, which I think a lot of you are just because of how long it takes sometimes for these programs to get to the various outlets where you might be watching, then look for it in streaming platforms. I'm sure it's going to be available in several platforms. So just look for the movie The Way and check it out. It's a wonderful movie. Let's see, what else? We've got some great shows coming up as well. Holly and I recently were at a film festival, ICFF, International Christian Film and Music Festival, and we had a chance to talk to a lot of great directors, producers, actors, talk to them about the films they've got coming out, and just talk to them a little bit about who they are. And we'll be bringing a lot of those interviews to you in the next few weeks. So make sure and keep tuning into the show. Also, there is a great new announcement that hopefully we can make on next week's show. If you watch the show, and hopefully that show will carry this great new announcement that we've got of a wonderful partnership with a distributor. So don't miss any of our shows, all right? Well, I think that about does it for today. Next week, again, we'll see you with another wonderful show, hopefully with a lot of those interviews from ICFF. So until next week, take care.
Write to us at faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. That's faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Faith on Film TV. Also, go to our YouTube channel, Faith on Film TV, and hit the subscribe button and the bell for notifications on our latest Faith on Film shows.